Hello, everybody, ladies, gents, and ladies. I want to talk about the price movement I saw today. Had a really nice push down after Nvidia reported earnings. Everybody was expecting it to go to the moon. They were finding willing buyers at that higher price, so they could drop the bottom out of it. But this is the first opening candle for NQ right here. And you can see we opened below settlement and we pushed down immediately. Kind of like yesterday, we opened below above settlement and pushed up immediately. So kind of exact opposite today. I had several 4-hour levels marked on the chart. I'm going to show you those real quick. So there was a big gap here in price action. And then this regular trading hour 4-hour low, that was actually where I was aiming. I thought we might even get down to here. Day's not over yet. This is definitely a target down here too. Maybe for later, maybe tomorrow, because that's already a pretty big move for the day. But this is where I was thinking we would go right there when we began this push down. So let's take a peek at that. Here, I marked the bottom of it, didn't mark the top. You can see it pretty clearly, so I didn't mark it. But that's the first 1-minute candle. We tried to push higher right away, and we failed to do so. Right back down, immediate rebalance, and we get below this low of that first 1-minute candle. We poke up there several times, but if you notice, there's still no fair value gap. We finally get our very first and very small fair value gap right here. And we wick into it, but candle bodies are respecting it. That's a big wick right there. That's, 24 points on that wick. But candle bodies are not closing inside of that thing. So you could have taken your first trade off of that if you wanted to. I waited. It came down and then came back up again, wicked into this thing again, and now candle bodies are respecting this one. So that's where I got in. I got in at 29 actually, right around here. When it went into that one and then pulled back, I got in right at 229, and I put my take profit down. I actually put in, I think I had 4 on. I took them off right here and then watched this fair value gap. When we wicked into it and pulled back, I added them back in and I held them all the way down to this one. And that was good for around $1,200. I'm not sure what this line's there for, but I'm getting rid of it. That was good for $1,200, a little over $1,200. Now, when we got down here, I expected it to come back up at least to this green candle. And I jumped in, but then I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to get one of those attempt to make a lower low and fail situations. So I got out and I just locked my account. I just kept the money I had. It's $1,270 some odd dollars. Getting back in is oftentimes where I make a mistake. I will lose some of the money I made. So I just killed it, locked the account for the day. That doesn't need to be on here. This is inconsequential. So we get up here and we did our push back down, failed to go any lower, and then we put up a fair value gap to the upside. Right here, this would be blue. Right here, because it's to the upside. And you can see, we came down. This is our last up close candle before the run on liquidity right here. That's our last up close before the lowest low. So you want to see candle bodies respect that when it comes back down. Sometimes it'll touch it to the tick. Sometimes it won't. Today, it went through it. Candle bodies respected it. Pulled away with a fair value gap. Respected. Another fair value gap to the upside. If you got in here and you just aim for these relative equal highs, that's 90 points, 180 bucks with one micro. I think the draw was here, possibly middle of the day, and maybe even up to this little cluster right here. Middle of the day was, I think, around 125. The way you can look at that is you just use your Fibonacci tool as a measuring tool with 25% quadrants. And so that would be the reversion of the mean right there, which would just take out this high just a little bit. That would be just fine. So just $25,100 would be the draw, in my opinion, for that upside. It's still going, but I'm not going to be here when the market closes, so I'm going to go ahead and make this video. So you can just mark that as middle of the day. That's a fair value gap there. So it may take that and then come back down. Not sure what it's going to do. But this is a really nice reversal pattern if you were patient. If you missed this, then you could have gotten this and made some money on that move right there for sure. Okay, so let's look at ES. It was a little different scenario. This is filtered just regular trading hours only, as I said before. And we opened just slightly below settlement here. Pre-market, I think it was up here taking these highs, but I know it took that 4-hour high overnight last night. So we opened below settlement and pushed down immediately. That's a big move for ES right there. That's a pretty big candle. It doesn't move that much, and that's nearly 10 points. Tried to push higher, only made it to the halfway point, failed, came down and took out the low of that opening range candle. And from then on, same kind of deal. Candle bodies are not quite respecting the bottom yet, but here we are. And then we get a fair value gap, our first one to the downside right there. You wouldn't have gotten an entry if you tried to get short right there, but you could have like marketed in on this candle if you wanted to for that push down. That first push down is usually good to at least the first 4-hour level. Of course, we already were below one and settlement looming right there. Maybe you didn't want to do it. Maybe you want more confirmation. Well, here's your more confirmation. We have a fair value gap here, and it corresponds well with the first one that we saw over here. I think that one is it. Is that 948 candle? 957 candle. So let's see. Find the same candle over here. That's it right there, the 957 candle right there. So they have corresponding fair value gaps. That's a little confluence. We were wicking into it, and we do not go any higher, but we do not have any candle bodies going into it. Sell short and aim for the next 4-hour low, which is right there. Now, on its 4-hour chart, if you look at regular trading hours only, we had this gap in price action. That was a definite draw. And then we had this 4-hour here. And so that's what I was aiming for. Now let's look at its reversal pattern back the other direction. Because oftentimes we will go down and then straight back up. So I had marked this one earlier as a potential pullback spot, and it went past it. So we'll just move it over here, and it should also be blue because it is an upside fair value gap. Okay, so we came down. Its breaker is right here, the last up close candle before the push down. It's right there, very similar in the chart makeup. And then we have its fair value gap, same as what NQ did, right here. This is a little bit wide. There we go. So we pushed down. Candle wicks went through the breaker, but the bodies, they're all respecting it. Wicks can do the damage. Bodies tell the narrative. There's actually a little fair value gap there. We try to push down one more time, high or low. Fair value gap to the upside. Respected multiple times. You could get in here, or you can try to get in right there. And then, of course, we zippity-doo-dah. These relative equal highs was the first target. And, of course, this one was the ultimate target. That's about 50% of the day. Now, this thing could go all the way back to settlement. NQ left some room up there at settlement. And it could absolutely go all the way back. So this ES entire day, the halfway point, let's see where it is, just right above that candle wick. So this was already a reversion to the mean once, came back down, tried to push lower, failed, and here we go back up again. So I would say that's a definite draw. That may be all at once, and then it just kind of ranges here the rest of the day. Not sure what to tell you there. But both of those, the morning open was a real nice low resistance run on liquidity down to here. That was the money maker, in my opinion. I locked my account, so I didn't get any of this, but I had this pictured in my mind that this is what was going to happen. And I was kind of like, well, maybe I should wait and trade it. But I probably would have taken one of these and then got smoked. So it's better that I didn't take it. Get my money, get out. Tomorrow will be a better day. Maybe get a better read. I do want to share Tanja trades because sometimes I'm reading this and I'll have a bias that maybe it's wrong. Maybe my bias is, well, NVIDIA reported earnings, so we're going to the moon. And so I don't look for shorts, I only look for longs or something like that. Something will limit me from entering the trade. Like, oh, well, we took this 4-hour low. We could possibly go back up to settlement. That would prevent me from entering the trade. And so there's a lady that's very successful, and she does live streams every day. And I used to watch her quite a bit. And, on days when she was wrong and I was right, I'd be like, I shouldn't have listened to her. But she's right a whole lot more than I'm right. So, and then when she is in agreement with you and you're entering trades going the same direction with the same take profit, it just adds a little confidence to hold the trade. And she's really good about entering. She does micros most of the time. And, she makes really good money. She talks through the trade about entering and then scaling out and all this. Very low. I think it's just like a 3-second delay. So you're a little bit behind, but not very much behind. And I enjoy watching her each morning. If you don't know who she is, I will link her YouTube channel in the description so you can go in and subscribe to it. And she also does free giveaways each day for a trading combine, straight to funded trading combine with several different prop firms. I think yesterday she gave away one for Tradify. Today she gave away one for Apex. So that might be something you're interested in. So if you were aiming for this high right here, it just got taken. What happens next? Who knows? That would be your move on either one of these indexes. That would be your move right there. I think, yeah, NQ, it didn't quite take it yet. ES did, but NQ didn't. Sometimes I will watch them, and if ES takes it, I'll go ahead and take my profit off because you never know which one is actually driving this price action. But I would imagine that we would call this minor buy side. And I would imagine that NQ is going to take it at some point. I think 25.1 is a possible point of reversal. Who knows? But once again, beautiful trade setup to the downside. And then that reversal right there, time of day is perfect. This usually happens between 12:30 and 1:30. And that's perfect. So hope you made some money today. Let me